is daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.
I will ride with this group.
Seriously, man. Please.
And away we go.
And away we go. Just one before we die, please. Vikings win. Let's just start right there. Round of applause, a little skull action for a Monday morning Vikings dub in London. I'm Jesse. He's Leighton. He's Jason. What's going on, boys? Let's start with Carson Wentz, right? We got to start there. We should start somewhere aside from the victory. Let's start with Carson Wentz. His stat line, 25 of 34 for 236 yards, one tutty. It's again another Leighton, what do we say about Mr. Wentz as our QB1 again yesterday?
I think a lot of credit goes AOC and the way he called this game and the way it looked all throughout, especially to start the first half and the second half. I thought those scripted drives were very well put together, not only attacking Myles Garrett not avoiding him, but attacking him and throwing screens his way, not being afraid to run the ball at him, because that's probably the most feared defender in the NFL. But I thought the quick game was great. The run game was great. With all the circumstances of that offensive line, I thought it was a fantastic game plan heading in. I thought it was executed pretty well. And then, Carson Wentz, he's tough. I mean, he played great. He didn't lose the game. I think that's what's most important when you're playing a really bad offense in the Browns and you're going up against a rookie quarterback. You can't lose the game because that's exactly the breaks they need. And the Browns got some of those breaks. They just weren't really able to capitalize off them. I thought Carson Wentz played good. At the same time, what he's doing, I don't think it's anything JJ McCarthy can't do, because I know people are going to have that conversation. But when I see Carson Wentz out there, I would hope our 10th overall pick could do close to the exact same thing, if not better, at some of these scrambles, maybe getting out of the pocket more than what Carson Wentz is doing. Overall, I thought it was a pretty good game from him.
Jay, agree?
Yeah, Kevin O'Connell, and I'll show you this here if you could see it. That is Carson Wentz passing chart. So if you look at that, not a whole lot, and shout out to Will Raggets for posting that, but not a whole lot to be like, oh my gosh, he was crazy. I think that game-winning drive was insanely impressive. I give him all the credit in the world for that. One thing, and I think the All-22 will probably really shine light on this, he did pretty well completion percentage-wise, but his receivers bailed him out a ton. Even on throws that did not need to be difficult, he was pretty inaccurate. Justin Jefferson caught a few hospital balls where, as he went up, I was holding my breath, getting PTSD from the Raiders game. There was a play, I think an out to the right sideline. Jordan Addison had nobody near him. I think it was like a 5 or 6 yard pass. Addison had to dive for it. If he caught that in stride, that's an extra 5 to 10 yards. Josh Oliver should have had his second touchdown of the day, but Wentz threw it above him and he had to go up and get it. If that hits him in the chest, it's a walk-in touchdown, right? So completions don't tell the full story. Again, I think there's the tale of what happened before that game-winning drive, and obviously that drive was all the credit in the world once again. But KOC was in his bag, and I know Leighton, I kind of amended my thoughts after watching the All-22. Credit to you being kind of right about KO's play calling last week. 100% credit on that. But this is actually the type of quick game that I think many people were hoping to see. You started off with a tight end screen. You had a play where Jefferson rotated to the backfield. Darisaw was at right tackle and Josh Oliver was at left tackle. And it was a designed play action rollout for a dump off to Jefferson. Like this is what during camp, the types of things, maybe not that type of trickeration, we saw JJ McCarthy operating in and succeeding in. I don't know why those first couple of games we didn't really see that. Probably a number of reasons, but if he can get that type of play calling and play design, and I think credit to KO, like he adjusted to the situation. To Leighton's point, I think JJ could thrive in that. And I think he's more mobile and better at being evasive from the pocket. So I think that's just bonus points.
I mean, talk about good play design. Cam Akers touchdown pass. We can't go. We love to see that. Come on now.
I'm gonna victory lap. I did say Kevin O'Connell would use a lot of trick plays, and I projected Justin Jefferson would throw a touchdown pass. So I'll give myself like a C- on this. I'm still proud that I called a non-QB touchdown pass in this game.
It was brilliant. Like that. How
Yeah, it was
fun?
awesome.
Just how fun is that? Like,
And that's one of those plays that when it works, it's everyone's on board when it works. But Vikings X probably would have melted down if a sack or a loss, and people would have said, KO's done. Like get him out of here.
That's former high school quarterback Cam Akers right there, to the point where at Florida State, they would run a package with him called the Wild Cam. And there was a contingent of FSU fans who the quarterback play was so inconsistent, they did want him in. But he did, I don't know if you saw Leighton and Jesse, he did say yesterday in a post-game interview, he had a helmet with a microphone because he was the emergency third QB. He did confirm that. So that would have been interesting. Thank God we didn't have to go there.
Man, what a story that be. Because you know what? The way that QB3s have stepped up for the Vikings in years past, or those type of guys, maybe Cam could have really done something magical. But you're right. It's probably a good thing that we didn't necessarily have to see it. The Vikings run defense, you guys. Judkins this week over 100 yards. Gainwell last week with 99 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Where's our concern level? Where are we at on the barometer here of concern level about the Vikings run defense? We'll start with you this time, Jason.
High. I mean, it's because it's what on the defensive side of the ball, it's what tended to kill us in the games that mattered most last year, right? Like Jahmyr Gibbs, ran all over us in the playoffs against the Rams. We let Williams run all over us, right? So these are types of things where it was supposed to be one of the top 2 things solved this offseason. And it's hard to tell exactly what the issue is, because I think we have overall an increase in talent in the defensive interior. I know Hargrave and Allen are getting older, but they're both consistent. The emergence of Jalen Redmond and Tyrion Ingram-Dawkins, and then Levi Drake Rodriguez is a space eater, and he's getting a ton of playing time, right? So I think overall the group's more talented. I think Blake Cashman right now is the missing piece to this defense. And I think when he comes back, instead of Eric Wilson going to the bench, I bet it's Ivan Pace Jr.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's I watched Judkins' 20 carries that he had on just from the end zone view, and it was honestly a mixture of a lot of things. It felt like 10 guys would do their job, and then there'd be one guy who'd miss one fit. There'd be one guy who got doubled and put on his butt. It was just one thing that when Judkins would break it loose, and I mean that's what it takes. But again, when Andrew Van Ginkel gets back and Blake Cashman gets back, I do think it will look different. I also think the Browns' game plan, their packages were extremely heavy. They didn't care that the Vikings knew they were going to run the ball. They just were going to do it no matter what. I mean, they were putting 7-8 guys, 3 tight ends, and the Vikings weren't really matching it with a lot of guys in the box, but they started to towards the end of the game. I think they were more just like, we're not going to let Dylan Gabriel get going, his confidence get going whatsoever. And I think the run game it's definitely worrisome, especially with, Amarian Hampton and Saquon Barkley and Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery and Josh Jacobs that we still have to play twice. It's a concern. I do think it will get better when Cashman and Van Ginkel get back, though.
I'm so afraid of Saquon against this run defense. I
got him to a point, but he hasn't really looked like himself this season yet. Honestly.
Knock on wood. Knock on wood.
Right.
But
you know what'll change that? You go up against this Vikings run defense. Like, I'm sorry to say, right? Like, that's going to maybe shift that a little bit.
If we get a reverse hurdle over like Ivan Pace, 1, not as impressive as what he did last year height-wise, but 2, if I see that on a poster, I'm just calling it quits this season. I can't handle that embarrassment.
Speaking of embarrassing, Jordan Addison, you guys got to talk about it. Yes, game-winning touchdown, because we all know the value and importance he is to this team. However, he just went and decided to miss a walkthrough. Just wanted to check out the London sites. How frustrating is that, especially coming off Addison missing the first 3 games because of suspension? there's something going on. What are we feeling about Jordan Addison and kind of some of the decision making he's been making as of late?
You want to start, Jason, or you want me to?
I mean, I have thoughts because I'm a USC fan, so I was probably the happiest person on earth when we drafted Jordan Addison. I was telling people, I was hyping people up, being like, "Oh, this guy's going to be great." Yeah, he's got a. I was talking to you guys before the show, but obviously, it's almost like the Dennis Rodman situation where when he's out there, he's great, but then he's going to go do some goofy things off the field, right? And you think of Phil Jackson being like, "Hey, Dennis is Dennis." I texted Phil and Declan though when we were trying to figure out where Addison was. And I have to credit Nuclear Dads on Twitter, some random burner account. I have no idea, but they actually had the news first on Saturday to Adam Schefter saying that Jordan Addison was missing. I have no idea who this person is, how they know it, but it appears they may have been onto something because Jordan Addison was missing at some point. I think Jefferson's comments after the game, one, just my respect for that man grows every day. We as a Saint, we do not deserve him. I love that man to death. But like him basically saying I had words with him and I need to teach him basically how to be a professional.
Right.
I think that it's the first time we've heard the team speak, somebody on the team speak that boldly about his decision making. I also saw tweets saying like, "Hey, well, this is really going to hurt if they try to trade him." My thought process has always been, I think they try to extend him. You can look on the bright side that maybe this is hurting his contract value, these off the field decisions and the liability it brings. I don't think it impacts the plan to try to bring him back, but if it happens again this year, I think that could be another conversation. But to do it in London where you don't know anybody, you're in the English. Did you guys see where they were staying? Did you see the Vikings videos of them leaving the hotel?
No.
Like they were in like some like 1600s building walking down a spiral staircase. Like I'm like, you're in the middle of the countryside.
Right.
What did you get up to out there?
It's so bizarre.
He was intrigued. He got lost.
He got lost.
Somebody said he was busy taking pictures with the Queen's Guard or whatever they're called at Buckingham Palace.
It's just so it's frustrating, right? Because it's a level of immaturity that you are a professional. Like this is not okay. This is your job. We are paying you to be here, and this is a requirement. So I mean, Leighton, for me, it's kind of like I wanted to smack him upside the head and be like, "What are we doing here? What are we doing here, bud?"
Well, and people were saying we should have fined him instead of benched him. But let me tell you, from a benching goes a lot further and it hurts a lot more than just getting fined. Jordan Addison's got all the money in the world. A $50,000 fine. What's that going to be? A quarter of his game check? Like that doesn't matter to him. But when you're benched for the first quarter and then you have to sit there in embarrassment on the sideline with your teammates watching you when your offense needs you the most, that's what hurts the most. And that's what's going to make him, hopefully take it, carry that experience with him down the line here and make sure that he doesn't do it again. He doesn't want to let his teammates down. And with Jefferson saying he's going to take him under his wing now, one, I don't know why he already hadn't after the first 3 times he messed up, but I think Jefferson will get him straight. And I think the coaching staff will just, we're staying in the States for the rest of the season. So hopefully he can just stay at home or at the Omni Hotel, wherever he needs to be.
To your point, I mean, he's played 7 quarters of football, 5 games in now. And I would hope that 3-game suspension would have sent the message. Right. I think to your point, though, there might be something different about you're suited up, you're at the game, you're active, and we're still not letting you play. So I'm going to give the kid the benefit of the doubt, perhaps foolishly at this point. But if it happens again, I think we're having a different conversation about like, is he somebody you can keep around? Because his talent is off the charts. Right. I think he's the most slept on wide receiver 2 in the league, one of the most disrespected offensive weapons out there. But at a certain point, you can't have those distractions. I hope he gets it together. But that's like the 4th time I've said this at this point. So,
and it's funny because it's like the distractions, they're not necessarily harmful. They're not cancerous to the locker room. Like I wouldn't put him in that category by any stretch. They're just very boneheaded and they're just very duh, what are we doing here? And I think you nailed it, Leighton. Like you sit on the bench and you feel shame. Like everybody's going to see you sitting on this bench. They're going to be like, what's going on? They're going to start questioning. Like, that is a huge embarrassment. And not to say that you're trying to publicly humiliate and shame people, but to an extent, you got to do it a little bit, like a little bit. And that's what that was. And I think that should speak volumes. Hopefully that rings true. And hopefully even him hearing JJ say that, like, I would be so embarrassed if my number one receiver is talking like that to me and saying that publicly, then like that he's ashamed of my actions. Like that would just be so embarrassing that hopefully Addison pulls it together.
We should add in that he was asked after the game what his plans for the bye week are, and you could tell that he may have made some last second adjustments just based off the look on his face. He said that he will be, quote, throwing with JJ McCarthy at the team facility to get ready. So I'm sure everyone's reading into that in different ways. But the good news is that he says he'll be working at TCO.
There we go. That being said, you guys, what are our bye week priorities? I think for me, it's get healthy. Maybe mix in some run defense, but mostly get healthy, right? That's got to be the priority.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, just get healthy, get some guys back, get your mindset right for this big stretch going forward. And then speaking of some more bye week plans, someone tweeted about how 20 years ago today, October 6th, was the Minnetonka cruise that we all know.
Stay away from the lakes.
Infamously. Yep. So then Sam Van Ginkel replied to this tweet, and she said, as a lifelong Vikings fan, I'll never forget what happened the last time a boat was involved. So when a few people started planning a cruise on Minnetonka for the bye week, I dropped an article in the group chat with all the details. So she said, safe to say no one's setting sail this week. So she was able to.
My favorite part was the reply where she said how people responded, and everyone's like, no way. And one person said, let's make it a theme. That cracked me up. Whoever that person is, they sound funny.
They gotta have a good time out there. No, I mean, if now we're looking, speaking of health, JJ getting healthy, do you make the quarterback change? You have to, right? Like, I think you go back to it. It's again, Carson Wentz has been serviceable. It's not a position where he has Wally pipped in there and taken the spot.
Yeah, no, you have to. I mean, you have to see what you have. You can't just keep delaying what do we have with JJ McCarthy? And if you don't have anything, okay, now you know, and you can move on. I don't think that's the case. I think they do have something, but the only way he's going to improve and the only way he's going to show that he's worth value to this team is if he's playing games on the football field and playing Carson Wentz. And yeah, he's played all right, and he went 2-1, and he did his exact job on what he needed to do as a backup quarterback. But now that your starter's back, you need to let him play.
Yeah. And I tossed this out after the game on Twitter yesterday, but I asked who should be starting out of the bye week if everyone's healthy. 871 votes, and the split was 85%.
Humble brag, I have a following on Twitter. No big deal.
No, I'm just saying. I think I was actually surprised by the amount of votes it got, but 85% of people said JJ McCarthy. And here's the problem is like this conversation has gotten so beyond toxic. The people who think it's a soft benching. Kevin O'Connell was quoted talking about once he's healthy, working on fundamentals, and people thought that meant he has no fundamentals at all. Like I just follow the trail of logic of what you're implying is that Kevin O'Connell was like, no, thanks, Sam Darnold. No, thanks, Daniel Jones. Screw you, Aaron Rodgers. I'm going to spend 6 months with JJ McCarthy, even though I think his fundamentals are bad, and throw him out as QB1. If you read the whole quote, he's talking about the plant foot. And that is the foot that he hurt. He said the fundamentals of putting weight on your back foot and being able to maneuver. This whole thing's gotten so wild. It's kind of funny at this point. But I think if he can do that, and he's going to be, we got a confirmation from Addison, he's going to at least be at TCO working out. I think that if it wasn't for the game-winning drive, as massive as it was, I think pretty much everyone would be in unison being like, yeah, Wentz ain't it. It's really easy to ride that high of what happened at the end of the game yesterday. But to Leighton's point, you have to figure, I believe in McCarthy, but I think you have to have your answer either way, because if you don't see him steadily improve throughout the season, that's when you have to start having other conversations as far as what the long-term answer is, because it isn't Carson Wentz.
Yeah. It's not, without question.
Well, and then people are talking about this offensive line and that you don't want to put them behind the offensive line, and I get that for sure, but I have a couple nuggets here that honestly the offensive line played pretty good considering all the factors. Again, playing another combination in the fourth quarter.
That was their best game, debatably, yesterday.
Yeah. And I mean, a play calling has a lot to do with it. But the Vikings limited Myles Garrett to 2 pressures on 35 pass rushes, his second lowest pressure rate in the game since 2021. And then School has been getting a lot of heat week after week after week. He held Garrett without a pressure in his 14 pass rush attempts. So that's
great right tackle.
Shout out School. He had a good game. It's what he needed to do.
Yeah. I like him at the right tackle position. I think at left tackle, it's just not his natural spot. Shout out, by the way, probably the most undervalued guy on the team because he always gets put in precarious situations, Blake Brandel. I mean, first time starting at center, and I think there was maybe one snap that Wentz bobbled and then picked right back up. I'm not sure whose fault that was, but who cares? Like, Blake Brandel went and did everything you needed him to do. And I think the offensive scheme as a whole was very intentional to plan around, hey, this offensive line might not hold up all day, and it worked. And if they keep that going, I think sky's the limit, regardless of who's at quarterback, if you can just move the ball steadily. I think KO is going to have to, I think he's starting to realize he's not going to be able just to do what he did in the past and try to do these super deep shots all the time. I think he's adjusting, and that's all you can ask.
Well, he's going to have to adjust again, too. And it's the NFL.
100%.
Like, guys are going to figure that out, and then they're just going to blitz the hell out of us, and we're not going to be able to do anything. So it's, yeah. There'll be adjustments made again.
But for the people who say that he cannot adjust, and even I've gotten frustrated with his lack of in-game adjustments, this was a pretty significant departure from his historical game planning, and it worked great, and he deserves all the credit in the world for it. And then obviously the players who executed it as well.
Yeah.
Let's dive into some comments from YouTube, boys. Our first comment coming from Captain Fantastic 222. He says, the upcoming schedule is rough. We talked about this last week, which for the record, there's one win in October. So we already surpassed the expectations of one fan last week. My question to you guys now is, we'll start with you, Jason. The Vikings are 3-2 after 5 games. What will their record be after 10 games? The upcoming opponents we have, as a reminder, got the Eagles at home. You're at the Chargers, you're at the Lions, you're home against the Ravens, and you're home against the Bears. What is the record after 10 games here, Jay?
I think you could be 6-4. I think you should beat Chicago. I think that a couple of those like big games, the Chargers are really inconsistent right now. They're a very well coached and rostered team, but I think they're still trying to find consistency. And I'm not going to sit here. I do think us beating the Eagles, especially if McCarthy comes back, would be the most on-brand scripting ever. However, historically, we have struggled out of the bye, so I guess we'll have to see. But I think 6-4. The league this year is just filled with so much parity, and like people say that every year, but this year is just any given Sunday. Look what happened at the end. I'm not saying the Cardinals are good, but they're playing the worst team in the league. Look how that game ended. Like, everything is a mess right now. And you look at what happened with the Eagles yesterday, where they had to throw the ball, and it was like the least effective they've been. You look at what's going on in Baltimore, Lamar should be back, but if he's not, what's going on there? Everyone's hurt. There's a lot going on. I think if we can get out 6-4, I'm going to be almost damn near certain we're on pace for a playoff appearance at minimum.
I dig it. Late in 6-4 sound feasible to you?
Yeah, it sounds pretty reasonable. And I think the thing I'm looking for is, one, the Eagles play on Thursday night this week, so they're going to kind of have an extended bye as well with the Vikings. So an opportunity for those guys to get healthy and get rested up for that game. So I think that'll be a big game. And the line right now is Eagles -3. So, I mean, it's a tight game with the Vikings playing at home, being a home underdog. But then the Chargers on a short week, can Joe Alt be back by that game? If not, that's going to play a big factor in that Chargers offense, because ever since he's been down, that offense has not looked the same whatsoever. Yeah. And if we're able to have one Van Ginkel back and then Grenard and Turner coming off the edge and I think their right tackle got hurt again yesterday, so I don't know how severe that is. But if they're down 2-3 tackles in that game, that's another huge opportunity on a short week to win a game there.
Let's go. I like 6-4. Sounds fair.
I do too. I think that's huge.
I'm good with that.
That's kind of my optimistic peak, but I think it's doable.
Yeah. I think that I'd feel really comfortable with that.
I think worst case, even if you come out 5-5, like you could feel confident that you can make round up the rest of the season.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the
100%,
worst case scenario.
Especially with the way other teams are looking too. And it's like,
yeah,
I even reflecting on these previous 5 weeks, 3-2. If you were to tell me 3-2 before the season, I would have been like, that's perfectly.
I would have been
the best team in the NFL is 4-1
Mhm.
right now. So it's like we can't, especially with all the circumstances that have gone on. It's I mean, 3-2 is completely fine.
See, I would have been a little disappointed without the context of knowing everything that happened.
Right.
But now it is
right.
Totally
but
like, hey, hell yeah, we got a winning record. We've overcome a lot of adversity. I'm just happy to hit the buy and heal up.
For sure. I just think best case scenario in my head was like best case scenario is 5-0, but I thought that I won. But then if you told me 3-2, I'm like, all right, that's fine.
We'll do.
All right. Next question or comment comes from Matthew Blickendorfer. Really butchered that one. I have no future for the record in broadcasting for that reason. 9704, he says, by far, Jonathan Vilma is the worst broadcaster. I don't know how he got hired. My question to you guys, and we'll start with you this time, Leighton. If Jonathan Vilma is the worst color analyst, who is the best? And for what it's worth, our producer Ross, want to give him a shout out. He said Vilma is exceptionally bad, and he doesn't care for him very much. So
Vilma, honestly, is very exceptionally bad. He was making me very mad yesterday, and I don't know if it was because it was 9 a.m. and I was already stressing about a Vikings game, but he was really, it just was not making the game, an ugly game, any better with his commentary. But who's the best? Honestly, I mean, it's pretty chalky, but I think Tom Brady, just the insight that he gives each and every week. It's like anything he says, it seems like nobody's ever said it before because it's Tom Brady and he knows everything about football. So Tom Brady's good. Greg Olsen is good. Obviously Troy Aikman, but like all the top guys are good, and they're a reason they're the top guys because they're good to listen to. But I don't think anyone's had a bigger fall than Tony Romo in the last 3 years, to be honest with you. He came onto the scene
Jim.
hot. Yeah, he came onto the scene hot.
He was
People
so good.
He was so good. Calling plays. It seemed like he could call every single play that's about to happen. And now every single play he tries to call, I swear it's just dead wrong every single time.
That milk ran dry from him a little bit. It's just too bad.
Yes.
What do you think, Jason? Vilma, the worst on your list?
It's at the point where he's calling a game. I just don't even listen to what he's saying. I ignore it because having him call a Vikings game, knowing what he was a part of, like, it doesn't help that, to Ross's point, he doesn't even know the rules of the game and he's trying to espouse them. But like knowing he was on that 2009 Saints roster, I just immediately, for my mental sanity, I have to cut him out. But as far as who the best is, an underrated choice, and being from Southern California, born and raised, being a Dodgers fan, and growing up with Mr. Vin Scully, that's a very valuable bobblehead I was lucky enough to have given to me. The man who replaced him, Joe Davis. Biased again. I love Joe Davis as a baseball commentator, but he in football, he's incredible. I think that he obviously doesn't call as many football games as he does baseball games, and it depends on the time of year when he's really on the mic. But that Jefferson catch in Buffalo, having him on the call for that entire game was incredible. So he's up there. I think Joe Buck has grown on me over the years. I don't necessarily think he's the best, but it's just he's the.
I know you're new to Minnesota, but you're not new to the Joe Buck hate.
I know. I understand. Listen. Hold on. Let me explain. I'm getting there. But he's grown on me over the years because I think he's just been around for so many key moments in the NFL. But he also owned up to the disgusting act and said it was the stupidest thing he's ever said on a microphone. If he hadn't walked that back, I would not give him credit. But he's vehemently said that was the stupidest, most overdramatic, dumb thing he could have ever said, and he apologized for it. So I will give him credit for owning that mistake. But it is objectively hilarious in hindsight every time I hear that call.
Every time.
What about Mark Sanchez?
I was going to bring it up. It's early. Like, what is going on there? What is that?
If you have not seen the pictures of the truck driver or alleged truck driver, do not look them up. Don't do it. Do yourself a favor. But I'm a little shocked that apparently it's only misdemeanors after seeing those.
For real though. And if you didn't watch, most people hopefully didn't watch the Dolphins Panthers game, but the Charlotte Hornets announcer was on the call, and oh man, he was
electric.
I kept saying to my buddy, because I was watching Red Zone, they kept panning to the game, and I kept saying to my buddy, I'm like, he's making this Dolphins Panthers game seem like it's the freaking AFC Championship.
Tagovailoa,
it was like a 54-yard field goal attempt in the first, and he was like, "Oh, can he do it? Can he do it?" And it went. He missed. He's like, "No." And he was awesome.
That's the type of vibe I like from my announcers, and why I love Paul Allen so much. Just yell. Be as energetic as I am one way or the other. And I like the guy from the Hornets because he's obviously calling for the Panthers, but he was like going crazy about everything the Dolphins were doing too. So for a national broadcast, like he did a great job.
He did.
I do need to share from Ross. He said on Vilma, he doesn't know the NFL rules and he played the game, which he doesn't.
He doesn't really know the strategy either.
No, he doesn't.
Speaking of rules, hold on. Where are we in Wiregate? I think it hit the wire. Listen, I would like to, if it did, I need to formally apologize to our sweet prince, our shining light, Will Reichard. I have been a proponent of Will Reichard from the moment he ended up in purple. How dare I doubt you? I'm curious if he gets the haircut or not. For those who know. How would the NFL not know that happened though? That seems inexcusable.
It does.
That would be 2 weeks in a row within a severe malfunction of setup at one of these international games happening to the Vikings, with the play clock in Ireland in the end zone, and then with this happening. Yeah, don't love it.
No, I'd agree.
I honestly can't tell if it hit it or not, but
I can't either. I mean,
I'm going to say it did because it helps my personal agenda that Will Reichard is a perfect human being.
Exactly. Like we just discussed, like I will take any seed of narrative and be like, oh, well, this one fits this way. And I can look at the video this way and it fits this narrative. And like, that's how we function in today's society. That's going to do it for this week's episode of Before I Die. Got a bye week. We love it, but there's always going to be Purple Daily content coming in hot at you amongst other content. It's hockey season as well. You know me, a little biased toward that. Flagrant howls, wolves, but mostly football. Before I die, guys, I'm going to teach my 8-year-old to not look back when he runs. Game-winning tutty on the line. Lost it. See you next week.
No.
I know. Poor kid.